Hey guys, Josh with ABG Tutorials, and in this video we're going to be talking all about CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. I'm going to go over why they're important, the 3 ways to apply them on your HTML pages. I'm going to, as usual, show a couple of coding demonstrations, and then I'm going to talk about just how expansive CSS really is, and so the future of CSS and some things that you can go about learning. So why is CSS so important? Well, the whole idea of programming and coding is all about efficiency. And by using CSS, you're going to save time designing your web pages. That is huge. Not only are you going to save time, but it's going to create a uniform style on all of your pages so that all of your pages look the same. There won't be any little flaws that sneak up on you where sometimes you intend to make every page look the same, but it takes a lot of work to do that, not with CSS. And then by using CSS, you're able to actually freshen up the design of your entire website by just customizing your CSS page, and that entire design just gets mapped over to all of your pages. So you really want to pay attention and learn some CSS if you want to be a web developer. So the 3 methods for using CSS are here on your screen. The first I've shown a couple of times throughout my video series, and if you haven't seen any other videos, be sure to go back and check out my HTML series where I do walk you through almost all of the basics that you need to know. Number 1 is just by using a style attribute, and that's going to allow you to style an individual tag. You can see where that's limiting though. That's going to style just that tag. And in order to find a common theme, you'd have to use that style attribute on every single tag you want to use. That does not save time. So what you can do there is you can use a style tag within the head of your HTML document, and you can style everything on that page just once. The downside there is it's only going to apply to just that page. So we would still have to copy and paste all of our style tags over to our other HTML documents, which becomes redundant and annoying. So the third method is the best method, where you use a separate CSS file. You do all of your CSS coding on one page, and all you have to do is link that page to all of your HTML documents, and your styles are applied automatically. So here's the syntax for CSS. You need to have a selector, and that's going to be the tag that you want to actually modify. So the body or H1, for example, your image tags. And then there's a specific syntax you need to follow where you find a property with a colon, and then you change that property giving some sort of a value, and you end it with a semicolon. And so then we can continue this process of modifying a selector or a tag, whether it's a pre-made tag of our own or not. We can overwrite what the default setting would be using this syntax. So I've loaded up an old HTML document that I've used, and if you followed my videos, you would recognize this. This is where I introduced styling in the first place. And so I'm going to move this over here. You can see this HR. I have styled this HR by changing the height of it, the background color, and the width of it. And so this style attribute would be an inline CSS. And I've got another inline CSS right below for this paragraph, and you can see that the paragraph now looks different. It's got a font size of 20, it's got a color of aqua, and it's got a different font family. As I mentioned, we don't want to always use a style attribute here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you here that in the head, we can add a style tag. I'm just going to paste in some code here so you don't have to watch me type. And so in this case, I'm going to change the H2, all of my H2 on my pages. Let's say I want the color to be deep pink, the font size to be 35, and the font family to be sans serif. All right. Now notice the syntax here. Here's the selector, and then I'm following a syntax where I'm changing a property and I'm changing the value. Property, value. Notice the colon, semicolon. So I'm going to save this. And I've also changed the LI, which is a tag on my lists, just to change the color to look blue-violet. So let's reload this page here and take a look at what it looks like. My H2, color deep pink, font size 35, and font family have been applied to these two H2s, which are down here, but they have not been applied to this H2 because an inline style will overwrite it. And that's a good thing. So you can still use CSS to style everything, but sometimes for those one-offs, okay, in this unique situation, I want this to look a little bit different. You can add an inline style attribute and change it. So that's why this heading right here is not also pink, because I've got the CSS inline for it right here. But you'll notice that all of the values in my lists have been changed to the blue-violet color. Okay, to show you the third method for adding CSS to your pages, which is the method you're gonna wanna use, the external CSS, I've loaded up a web page here that I've used in an earlier video when I showed you guys hyperlinks. And you'll notice here it's got a similar style, it's got a common theme, everything looks okay, but I have not applied an external CSS page to it. So what I'm gonna show you here is that all of my coding here has styles and has certain things added to it, but it does not have an external CSS page linked to it yet. Right here in the head of your document, this is going to be the syntax needed to link an external CSS. Now, what I'll do is I'll move this and I'll show you. I do have this CSS2 style page, and so what I'm going to do in the href, I'm going to link this up for you. CSS2 style.css, and I'm going to save it, and look what happened. My entire page, the background changed. Did anything else change? We'll be able to go through and look at it. So the style's been changed on this page. If I click a link though, you'll notice the style has not been changed on any of my other pages. All I would need to do in that case would be to copy and paste this line of code directly into all three pages, and then the styles are applied like that. So this is the preferred method, and this is what you guys want to start to use to create a common look on your websites. So let's take a look at what's in this CSS document here. It's saved as a .css. All of your editors that you're going to be using for HTML will also be used for CSS, so that's nice. So I've opened this up in my preferred editor, which is brackets. I like brackets. In the future, I may change that. And you can see the body has some font family being changed. It's got the color of white smoke. And then this is kind of a cool little trick here that's adding this gradient to my background. So this is what's giving my page this kind of faded color. It's starting at one color and then it's fading to a different color in the other corner. So if you like that, be sure to pause the video and maybe take a look at some of this and play around with some of this in your own CSS. Other things I've got here that you may not have noticed would be this. Remember, the A is my anchor tag. That's what I use for links. I've changed this, and this is just a little snippet of how intense CSS can get. You can change the hover. So when I hover over a link, notice how it goes black. That's not like that by default. So we really can customize everything here. And perhaps you don't like this blue. This blue looks kind of funny. So what we can do is let's customize this page right now. Let's go ahead and change our color to maybe like a darker blue. That one blue is a little bit too bright for me. So let's find something. And you can search up any color code, by the way, and paste a color code in there. But for now, I'll just use my given colors. And then I'm going to save this. And you'll notice my links got a little bit darker. and you can go from there and customize everything. And what's really nice about this, you guys, is you change one thing on the CSS page, and it's not only going to apply to this page, it's going to apply to all of your pages. So then that way you can see how easy it is to kind of freshen up a website. Maybe you leave a website that you've designed up for a year or several months, and then you're like, I want to give it a fresh look. You could change the background color, you could change the color of the font, you could change like some of the linkage, and then everything else kind of looks fresh, and it didn't take you that long to do. I want to talk about this part on my CSS document right here, the dot. So a dot is used for defining a class. And so what a class is used for, if you want to apply a style to several tags, you can use a class. So instead of modifying one tag, maybe I want a specific thing to happen on a couple different tags, or maybe I only want it to happen a few times, but I still want to access CSS and I don't want to copy and paste so many times. So in that case, you can use what's called a class here. And so in the CSS page, you enter it with a period first. So I've created a class called large orange, and obviously I've named it that because I'm changing the color to orange and the font size to 25. And then I've created a class called small orange with the same color of orange and a font size much smaller. So I'm going to show you how you can apply this into your page. And let's use one of these 4 paragraphs, since they're all the same, and I used them to showcase how to jump to the bottom of a page with hyperlinks. So again, be sure to go watch that video if you want to learn how to link around. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to modify a couple of these paragraphs. I don't want to change all of the paragraphs. So to change all of the paragraphs, you could use this selector, and I could go ahead and modify all the paragraphs. I don't want to do that though. I only want to change a couple of them. So I'm going to apply these classes just to show you how they're used. So let's get into the HTML document. Let's find those paragraphs. So here are the 4 paragraphs that I just copy and pasted. I added an ID so that I could show you to jump to this paragraph. But let's go to this first paragraph here and change and add a class. Class equals, I believe I called it large orange. And I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to show you. Look what happened to my paragraph. Just this paragraph changed to large orange font. And the paragraph below it, you'll be able to see it right here when I apply this. Class equals small orange. Save it, and you can see right there my paragraph changed to small. This is very intro based, you guys, but you can see the power of it right now. You can define some classes which you can use through multiple different tags. You could change images. You could have classes for images, for borders or sizing or links, anything like that. So what I've shown, guys, the 3 methods of CSS, really just focusing on the third method, the external CSS page. I showed you how to modify tags. You could add your own tags. You can style them all in one place, and then all you have to do is apply that style to your separate pages, and it happens automatically. I've shown you how to add classes as well, and that's useful if you want to apply a specific style across several different tags. And that's going to get you pretty darn far. Now, I'll admit, there's so much more I need to learn. And just from my little bit of research, there are animations you can do. There's transitions you can do. You can learn flex boxes, grid boxes, and these are going to help make your websites more responsive. And what that means is fit on multiple screens. Because if you design a web page for your screen, that might be fine and dandy until you all of a sudden try and load it up on a mobile device. The way to make your pages not only look good on one device, but on all of the device is through CSS. So CSS is extremely expansive, and I'll be honest, I have a lot of learning to do, but I'm going to be showing some of the stuff I learned. I'm going to be creating a bunch of videos about CSS, like how to make a navigation bar, how to do flexbox, gridbox, animations, transitions. I'm going to do probably intro-based stuff as I learn, just because I want to pass on what I've learned to you. And if you're on this journey to learn how to be a web developer, then you're going to appreciate the videos that I add. That's it for this video, you guys. And that's it for the HTML series. So I really hope you've enjoyed it. And stay tuned for more CSS videos, more web development videos, and eventually some JavaScript videos. As usual, always be grinding.